Hello, today I'll be talking about 5 bands where I own like one album, and this will be in no particular order, but the first band I will be talking about is one of the early bands in the world of nu metal, and that band is Coal Chamber, and the one album I like from them is the self-titled debut. Outside of that, not too big on the other stuff they've done, the other albums. There's maybe a couple other songs I like outside of that first album. Of course, I like Fiend. I think that's a pretty good song. Robo and Tragedy, I think, are a couple other decent tracks, but that's about it for me. I know that they do have their cover of Shock the Monkey. Never been a big fan of that cover, but yeah. First album, again, the only one I like. Self-titled debut. Some of my favorites off that album being Loco, of course. Big Truck, Sway, Oddity, Bradley. A lot of really great songs off that album. But yeah, that's about it for me when it comes to Coal Chamber. Just can never get into their later stuff. But next band I'll be talking about, band/artist, is Marilyn Manson. Definitely someone that has a huge following. You can maybe make the argument that his music is maybe an acquired taste. I don't know, that gothic industrial stuff that he kind of does, is just not, I don't know, just not really for me. But the one album I do like from Marilyn Manson is Portrait of an American Family. Honestly, pretty good album. Some of my favorites being Cake and Sodomy, Lunchbox, Dope Hat, and some others. I do think the first half is probably the stronger half, but the second half does have its moments though. But that's about it for me with Marilyn Manson. Outside of that one album, I like Rock is Dead and the fight song. Sweet Dreams, I think, is okay, but yeah, that's about it for me when it comes to Marilyn Manson. Just can never get into his music. Again, just not really for me. But again, Portrait of an American Family, pretty good album. But the next band I'll be talking about is Mudvayne, and the one album I like from them is LD50. Personally, not too big on what they would do after that album. I mean, there's a few songs I like outside of LD50, like Not Falling and Perversion of the Truth, Happy, and maybe a couple others, but that's about it for me. I'm personally not super big on the nasally clean singing that you get from Chad Gray, if I got his name right. It's just not too big on that singing voice. But LD50, again, the one album I like, and honestly, I'd say a pretty good album. I mean, some of my favorites off that album, of course, you have Dig, which is one of their biggest songs, and also one of the best songs on the album, I'd say. I also like Death Blooms. That's probably my favorite Mudvayne song. Nothing to Gain and Severed are also really good. I also like -1 or -1, however you say it. But yeah, LD50, again, really good album. Next band we'll be talking about is Papa Roach, and the one album I like from them is Infest. After that album, especially from Getting Away with Murder and on, they pretty much go in a more butt rock direction, and just never really could get into that stuff. I mean, Scars and To Be Loved, I think, are a couple decent tracks, but that's about it, though, when it comes to stuff I like outside of Infest. She Loves Me Not, I think, is another decent track, too. Same with Time and Time Again. But yeah, Infest, honestly, maybe one of the best nu metal albums out there. I think it's honestly pretty good. I mean, of course, you have Last Resort, which is, of course, their iconic song. I still personally really dig that song. But you do have some other really good songs off that album, like Revenge, which I think is kind of an underrated deep cut. Same as Snakes. I also like Between Angels and Insects, if I got the title right. I think that's another really good song off the album. Broken Home is also really good. You also have Dead Cell, Blood Brothers, a lot of really killer songs off that album. But yeah, that's about it for me when it comes to Papa Roach. Infest is really good. Except outside of that album, I like a couple other songs, but that's about it for me. And now let's move on to the final band for this video, and that band is Staind. Never could get into Staind, so sometimes I call them Staind Mattress, because, I don't know, I think it sounds kind of funny. Kind of, just a tad, but either way. Staind, I mean, the one album I like from them is Dysfunction. Personally, not too big on what they did after that album. Of course, starting with Break the Cycle, which I know many people love. I've heard a handful of songs off that album, and yeah, can't really get into it. I mean, especially from yeah, that album on. I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of find Aaron Lewis to be a little bit whiny with his voice, and I don't know. And I've heard the argument that I remember hearing someone say that he's maybe the poster child of divorced dad rock, and you know what? I might agree with that. He definitely has the look too. But yeah, Dysfunction, the only album I could get into from Stained. And that's maybe their heaviest too. Either that or the album that came before that one. But yeah, Dysfunction, honestly, pretty good album. I mean, I wouldn't put it up there as like one of my favorites in the world of nu metal or anything like that, or post grunge, whatever you want to call it. But still, I think Dysfunction is still a fairly solid album. I mean, Mud Shovel is probably my favorite song from Stained. Suffocates, I think, is a pretty killer way to open up the album. That's another one of my favorites off the album. Crawl is also really good. I believe that was on the soundtrack of a movie that came out around this time. Maybe it was Scream 3. I can't remember, but either way, Crawl, pretty good song. Spleen, another heavier track off the album. That's another one of my favorites on the album. But yeah, can never get into Stained, but Dysfunction, fairly solid album. But yeah, those are 5 bands where I only like one album. Let me know your thoughts. Are you a fan of any of these bands? Is your situation with these bands similar to mine where you only like one album? And if so, let me know what that one album is in the comment section below. Let me know if there's any bands where you only like one album, and let me know those bands in the comment section below and all the good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and a like, subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.